Welcome back to Joygasm, where we talk about video games, movies, and pop culture. I'm Russ, Xbox Live Toaster 360, and with me is Steve, Xbox Live Stevavitch, as we start episode 60 today, February 24th, 2018. To get the most out of Joygasm, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. In addition to iTunes and Android, you can listen to our podcast on TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and SoundCloud.com/JoygasmTV. Also, for exclusive access and some sweet goodies, check us out at Patreon.com/Joygasm. And no matter which platform you use to enjoy the show, please drop us a subscription, thumbs up, or a review. It helps us build awareness, which we appreciate very much. There are quite a few stories for us to gab about on this episode. Gaming news includes Ghostbusters and Street Fighter. Movie news includes Black Panther box office numbers, the Batgirl movie, Mark Hamill getting his very own star on the Walk of Fame, Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and Joaquin Phoenix in talks to play a certain prince of crime. Technology covers The Walking Dead roller coaster ride and Hasbro using crowdfunding. Our topic of the day is me, your humble host, being introduced to the Sopranos by my brother Steve. But first things first, speaking of Steve, how are you?
Doing great, Russ. You know, we got quite a bit of rain this week.
It has been a soggy week.
A very thundery, lightningy, rainy week. And I almost flooded my car.
You almost flooded your car?
Almost flooded my car.
Did you leave the... Do you have a sunroof? I can't remember if you have a sunroof.
That'll be a negative on that one, Ghost Rider.
Oh. Did you leave your windows down?
No! Oh. I'm about to tell you, actually.
Did you leave your hood up?
No! So, yeah, no. I forgot what this... I don't know. Tuesday, I think it was. I was driving to work. And maybe it was Wednesday. I don't know. That doesn't matter, Russ. And the rain is like... So, I wake up, right? And it's gray outside. And I can hear the thunder and the lightning. But I don't hear any rain. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, it's building up, whatever. So I'm getting ready for work. And I back out the car. And I'm looking up. It's totally gray. And, of course, it starts to, it starts to rain as I'm backing out the car. And I usually warm it up a little bit before I just, jump out there because I want to warm it up before I jump on the highway and start fast and furiousing it to work.
Gotcha.
So, of course, as I back it out, the rain goes whoosh, just dumps and I don't have my umbrella or my jacket yet because I just backed out the car, right? So I get soaking wet. Run back inside to grab everything, my coffee, my breakfast, and whatever, whatnot. So get back in the car, and I'm driving, and it's raining so hard. It is raining so hard that the entire highway is driving only like about 35 miles an hour because no one can see anything in front of them.
Yeah, because you're being pelted by water balloon-sized raindrops.
I mean, insane-sized raindrops.
Yeah.
I mean... I might even, if anybody wants to see it, I took a video of while I was driving. Probably not the smartest thing to do, but...
Despite the fact that you were being pelted, no one could see, it's slowing down traffic. I'm going to bust out my phone and take some video.
So the only thing I could think of was that scene in Forrest Gump in Vietnam when he's talking about the rain. Oh, my goodness. So I take the exit off, and I knew this road was going to be bad, but I thought Siri would kind of detour me if it was bad. Well, she didn't detour me because they didn't. The city didn't detour the road. I'm like, oh no! And so I get off the highway, and it's only one way because it's an off ramp, right? And so there's no backing up, and I see waters all the way across the road, and it's not just like a big puddle. Well, it is a big puddle, but it's a huge puddle.
Yeah,
and I can see like these big ripples, it's not just flat like a puddle. And I think, oh great! And I can see this older kind of Ford Contour stuck there.
Great.
And the water's like past the door line. I'm going, I'm already in it and I can't back up. Like, what am I going to do? And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go to the to the leftmost part of the road because that's where the curb is. And that's probably where it's going to be the shallowest. And sure enough, man. So I'm in the puddle and I could hear, usually when you go through a puddle, you can hear the water, underneath the tires. This was more like blah, 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 under the car, and I'm going, oh no! I'm looking at I'm at the bottom of my door to see if any water's coming through, and I'm going only about 4 or 5 miles an hour, just real slow, easy. Does a vroom vroom vroom, but I'm having just easing the clutch out and everything, and I made it through. Car was making some funny noises afterward, but she kept on ticking.
Yeah, we had some flash flood warnings going through over the past week.
Yeah.
I remember actually coming home from work one night, and there was someone who didn't want to have to wait for the traffic because the traffic was traveling a bit slower than usual. So this person decided to actually hop the curb where you know how sometimes you have the grass. I don't know what you call it, but it's
or whatever.
So it wasn't in the middle, so it wasn't the island, but it's on the right hand side of the road past just the shoulder. And it was kind of where you have a service road that goes, and they were you could tell planning on trying to hop over this grassy knoll mound thing and get onto the service roads. So they wouldn't have to wait. Well, they got stuck because it has been raining and it just effectively turned that grassy area into just the worst muddy bog. Yeah.
Out of The Witcher.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy just see. I'm like, yeah, that person. And you could tell they were trying to they had that kind of moment with the car and
seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were probably stuck there for quite some time. And then the other thing too is as I was getting to work, due to the amount of rain that we were getting, all of the gutters were absolutely flooded. And so I actually ended up totally soaking my feet 2 days in a row, actually, because I was trying to jump over, trying to make it, and of course failing miserably. So my whole foot just disappears under this running river of water.
Nuts.
So I had to work those 2 days in the office with completely, utterly soaked socks. Yeah. I mean, it was the best way I could describe it would be imagine getting 2 socks out from the washing machine and putting them on. That's how it was.
That's terrible. That ruined your day right there.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I had half a mind to just go by some sort of nearby department store and just buy some new socks, but I was too busy. I didn't. I just powered through it and got home and changed at that point. But yeah, lots of water in the Texas area.
Well, I guess I should say what I've been watching because I know that's
what have you been playing? What have you been watching?
On your brain there. Well, I can give you a hint, Russ. It starts out with something like, the following takes place between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m.
I will go so far as to venture a guess and say 24.
Yes. Yes. So basically what happened was after the episode we were talking about the Oscar nominations, I went to Netflix and was like, okay, move that to the top and look this one up. Just like I was saying. Well, I didn't do it in time. Mm-hmm. And so they shipped me 24. And so now I've started season 4 of 24.
So is this the Jack Bauer 24 or is this the new 24?
No, come, give me a break.
Well,
Russ.
I can't remember if you...
I haven't finished the whole entire series.
Okay.
I finished 1, 2, and 3.
You got a ways to go.
I do have a ways to go.
Okay.
Well, all this other game playing and show watching, movie
for some reason, I thought
stuff gets in the way.
I thought you had watched all of the Jack Bauer seasons years ago, but
no,
I was mistaken.
Yes. So,
well, it's good that you're continuing it, Steve.
Now I've begun 24 season 4, and I've begun Homeland season 1, and now I have to wait a couple of weeks until I get all the Oscar nomination movies out of the way, and then I have to go back to these 2.
You're going to start getting plot points all mixed up.
Yeah, no kidding. So I started that one, and then I started watching House of Cards again because I haven't finished up season 5.
I have not started that yet. I'm behind on that. I'm glad you said that. I need to watch that.
Yeah. And then I watched The Foreigner, which is a movie that we had played the trailer on the show a few months ago. It was with Jackie Chan.
Right. I recall that.
and Pierce Brosnan. Yeah. So that was okay. That was all right. It was cool to see Jackie Chan on screen again. He plays kind of a different role than he normally plays. But then again, I kind of missed the role that he usually plays. But he's a little bit older, so he can't really do a lot of action-packed stuff he used to. Mm-hmm. But you kind of already know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, and what's going to happen. It's kind of predictable.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad movie. I'm not going to say that. It just was.
You're glad you watched it on Netflix as opposed to seeing it in the theater.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you play any games?
Russ, I've been playing, the only game I've been playing is Overwatch.
That's the only kind of game you need to play.
Right. Well, I think, what I'm going to do? I have some games that I'm not playing anymore. And I think I'm going to go trade them in. See if I can get something else.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see. I need to bring up some other games. You have the plethora of unplayed titles.
I know.
Still wrapped in cellophane that are completely unplayed. But I'm a different story, bros.
You're welcome to borrow certain titles. Well, you still have my Forza 3.
Hey, you still have my Grand Theft Auto and my Battlefield 1. That's right.
I have started playing Battlefield 1, though. Mm-hmm. Well, there is something that I forgot to mention a couple of Joygasm episodes ago.
A couple of gasms ago?
A couple of gasms ago that are filled with joy. John Williams had his birthday.
Oh, that's an honorable mention, right?
That's why I could not wait to talk about this. The man turned 86 years old. So one of the things that I will always treasure is the very first time I was able to watch him live at a concert. It was actually on his birthday back then as well. And at the time, he turned 70, which was really fun because the orchestra ended up playing the Happy Birthday song, and everybody in the audience got to sing Happy Birthday to John Williams, which I thought that was a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah.
So
how old is he? 86?
He's now 86.
86 years young.
That man has done a tremendous amount in terms of the auditory arts for not just the United States, but for the globe. That guy is just, love me some Johnny. But anyway, moving right along, I ended up watching the Batman movie that came out. It's an animated cartoon, but it was the rated R Batman movie. I think we actually talked a little bit about it here on Joygasm when they were.
Was it the anime one?
It wasn't the anime one. It's this other one that was done. I believe it was done here in the States, but it was the one that actually it takes place with one of the famous comic books that got written where the Joker shoots Batgirl and paralyzes her. It's that really famous. I can't remember what the exact title is off the top of my head, but
didn't that happen out of Goth? What was it? The Arkham Asylum? No, Arkham City. The game.
You mean Arkham Knight?
Arkham Knight.
Well, they kind of took some creative liberties on there. The Arkham Knight one was all about the hallucinations, right? So they had the fear toxin, and so it twisted around a bit, but it did have a little bit of that homage to the original comic.
Yeah,
and that was actually one of the more violent comic books that have ever come out. And the whole storyline itself was pretty messed up, but it was also fascinating to read just because they actually took time to show Joker before he became the Joker, and what his personal life was like and that sort of thing. So this particular movie just expanded upon the comic book itself. You could tell they used that as like the foundation of the film. And then just, the Mark Hamill came back as the voice of the Joker, and they had Kevin Conroy as Batman. And so overall, I would say it was pretty good. It was pretty decent. I thought that there were certain times where the actual drawings could have been better. I was a little surprised as to how rough some of it was from just certain scenes. Other parts I thought looked fine, but there are certain scenes where I was like, man, it's kind of a rush job on this, especially considering it was like a movie. It wasn't just your Saturday morning cartoon. But so overall, I thought it was decent film.
Man, I remember coming home from junior high and watching Batman the Animated Series at 4:00 on Channel 2. Great show.
That was
my goodness.
one of the best.
Oh, couldn't wait to get home from school and watch Batman.
One of the things that I thought was a little surprising about this particular film was the fact that it had a rated R on the movie itself.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking back through the movie and there is no nudity. Mm-hmm. I can't recall there really being any kind of cussing either.
Any
I mean,
blood?
there may have been like a little bit here and there, but really, I mean, you do see blood. There is blood here and there.
You do see someone get their arms torn off.
No. You don't see anything like that. But I was just kind of surprised. I was like, wow, rated R. Okay, well, all right. It just didn't strike me. It looked more PG-13-ish to me than rated R. I'm not exactly sure why they got that.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember when one of the live action, I think, Jungle Books came out back in the day. Not this latest one, but it was the one with I think Jason Scott Lee was the main character, and it was rated PG. And I remember a ton of people dying almost every single way possible they could die, like poisoned and eaten and
dismemberment.
Like, they fell off a cliff, like and shot,
blindness.
Yeah, I'm like, how was this rated PG when like, tons of people died every way imaginable?
I see.
Anyway,
now I have been playing Overwatch, and I have some thoughts on Capture the Flag.
As do I.
Because Capture the Flag, as you well know, did make its triumphant return within Overwatch. Mm-hmm. I am a little conflicted as to some of the changes. And for those of you who have yet to play the updated version of CTF. So in the old days, you had to actually stand over the flag. There's a charging period before you could grab a hold of the flag, and then you could go do your thing, and you had all your abilities available to you, no matter which character you were using. That has now changed to now if you just simply run over the flag, you then pick it up and you can start running with it. However, the difference is that now you have certain abilities that are stripped from you if you're holding the flag.
Right.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think at first I really didn't like it because I was in the dark in terms of just, okay, what can I do and what can I not do when I have the flag? There just wasn't a tutorial or any kind of like heads up. It was just kind of, you got to figure it out as you go. So that was a bit, I don't know, I felt like I was at a constant disadvantage because if I did anything aside from just hoofing it back to my base, it's like I was going to be penalized by dropping the flag or just something not registering correctly. So I thought I would do everyone a little bit of a service here and let you know what I was able to find most of the characters in terms of what you cannot do if you have the flag. Okay. So if you're Doomfist and you have the flag, you cannot do your seismic slam or your rocket punch and the meteor strike. I mean, really, they castrated the poor Doomfist.
This I do not like.
Yeah. For Genji, you cannot do your swift strike. If you do it, you'll drop the flag. Mm-hmm. For Farah, this is one that always bummed me out. You cannot use the jump jet, which is that like cool instant burst of leapage that you can get.
Same thing with Winston. I know that one's coming.
For Reaper, you cannot shadow step.
Yep.
And you cannot use your Wraith form. Mm-hmm. Soldier 76, you cannot sprint. Mm-hmm. You can kind of see a little bit of a pattern emergency here. Sombra, this was one I was pretty upset about. Sombra, you cannot use your translocator and you cannot use your thermo or thermoptic camo. Mm-hmm. Tracer, you cannot blink or recall. May, you cannot cryo freeze. Widowmaker, you cannot use your grappling hook. Diva, no boosters. Reinhardt, you cannot charge. And of course, Winston, to your point, Steve, you cannot use your jump pack. Mercy, you cannot use your guardian angel or your Valkyrie. Those are the ones I was able to find out. But it got me thinking about one of my favorite all-time multiplayer games, Halo. And as you know, Capture the Flag was also one of the best game modes for Halo.
And Griffball.
And Griffball. Gotta love Griffball. But what was interesting was that back in the Halo days of Capture the Flag, if you recall, once you grabbed the flag, you also really couldn't use your weapons at all. Really, all you had was just you could pistol whip using the flagpole itself. The flag, yeah. And I mean, the cool thing about that was that they actually upped the amount of damage. So you could literally do like a one hit, one kill kind of thing.
Yeah, because then you would have your weapons, and if you actually got killed shooting the flag bearer, you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
How much?
Pretty humble.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty humbling.
Such a weakling.
So, but I mean, that was kind of a thrill for folks who were playing Halo, just because as the flag bearer, you get stripped of your abilities. If you were to actually use your weapons, you would drop the flag. So it really encouraged this idea of playing together as a team, where you had your teammates come and provide cover as the flag bearers trying to make their way back to the base. What's interesting about Overwatch is, while I do see what they're trying to do with that, because they're stripping. It's weird. It's like with Overwatch, obviously you have different abilities for different characters. In Halo, you didn't have that. Halo was just everybody could jump, everybody could have weapons. You had a bit of an arms race in the sense that if you found the rocket launcher or a sniper rifle, whatever, then you would have some sort of temporary advantage over the other players, depending on just what your strategy was. However, in Overwatch, a lot of the gameplay mechanics are just so grounded in their abilities that when you take those away, suddenly it's like, okay, well, I'm guessing they're trying to make it more of a thrilling grind, if you will, to like if someone's able to get the flag, they have to like slowly but surely make it back to their particular base. I just feel like there is something there that's kind of missing in terms of the excitement, because I don't know. I think if I had to venture a guess, and I want to get your opinion on this, but
do you?
I have a feeling the maps are too small. I think that's one of the biggest issues with Capture the Flag when it applies to these new types of rules for Overwatch itself. I feel like when I think of the Capture the Flag maps for Halo, I mean, you have these sprawling maps.
Yeah, no, that was, what was that, Blood Gulch? And you had to like go and you had to like walk or run for 5 minutes. Like hoping you're not going to die.
Yeah. And you had the teleporters that you could still use even as a flag bearer. But I think that interesting.
And I think you ran a little bit slower too once you had the flag. So you couldn't run as fast as everybody else.
Which, I mean, like if I think of the Overwatch part of it, okay, fine. If you can't use your dash-esque abilities within Overwatch, fine. You're just going to hoof it. However, what I think one of the big differences between Halo and Overwatch is the fact that in Halo, you had multiple paths that you could take to get back to the base and score with the flag. Whereas in Overwatch, it feels a lot more linear driven. And I think it's partly due to the fact that the maps are just so smaller than the ones in Halo, but also too, even the design of the maps. Yeah, you have a few in there that you could possibly take an alternate route instead of just the straightforward one. But I think that's one of the big issues I think I have with it is that when you become the flag bearer, you're really just at a huge disadvantage. I mean, there's really not a lot you can do to try and outsmart the other team. Well, what are your thoughts?
Well, I have a few. So I think what may have happened is that people like me who were stuck, the single one person stuck defending the flag in this montage of militia came, and I'm like, great, one me, and then what happened is as this militia, they probably killed off the rest of our team, and it's just me, and I'm the one person trying to defend against an army barreling down on me to take the flag, and oh, Steve, what's going on? Like, you're defending the flag, you let them take it. Well, I know that, but I'm I'm a one-man army here against 5.
Yeah.
So, and then, or something like, Genji or Winston or Diva or Sombra or somebody would come in and then just appear and then disappear with the flag, and there's nothing you can do. I mean, how many times Diva came down, used her shield, and I'm Bastion or I'm Torbjorn. And there's nothing I can do because her shield's absorbing everything. Then she gets the flag and then she boosts off, and I'm just sitting there, the small, the small crying dwarf, and like, great, I can't do squat. So I think part of it was that had happened. So the way it is now is like Torbjorn, he's almost useless. If he is the lone defense person, he's useless because someone can come in like Lucio, come in, he's quicker than everybody else typically, takes the flag and he's out. And with all the other columns and obstructions within the map, I can't kill him fast enough.
Right.
So now if it's Torbjorn with Symmetra, for example, okay, well, Symmetra can slow the person down, but it really requires you to have multiple defense, a defense team and an offense team. So that can be a little bit more fun, in a sense. So I can see how they would balance it in a way of, okay, once you get the flag, we're going to reduce your amount of abilities. You're going to have to try and outsmart the other team, or you're just gonna have to work more as a team to try and get the flag instead of just one person going in.
That's true.
Dropping a shield down, jumping away off half across the map. I mean, I remember plenty of times defending, and then someone would go like Soldier 76 would go get the flag as well as the rest of the team. Get it, sprint back, and I was watching the top of the screen where it has a little chart of the person's here and they need to get back here, point A to point B, and he just go like really quick, like within 2 seconds to be back in. I'm like, man, there's like hardly any time.
I think that's a good point. I think that Blizzard is attempting to have more of that team experience when it applies to capture the flag. I think I haven't really seen a ton of that. I think that it has the makings of a change going on. I think it's just a matter of time for players to have to adapt some of the new rules. And that's just one of the things about Overwatch, that it's kind of a love-hate relationship, honestly, because they're constantly balancing different parts of the game.
Right.
They're going into different game modes, or they're constantly tweaking the characters. And on the one hand, some of the stuff they do, I really like a lot. And then other things they do, and it's like, it's not that I hate it per se. It's just, I'm not made aware of what the changes are. Like they don't, it's not like they send out an email to all the different players, which honestly would not be hard to do, regardless of whether you're on a PC or you're playing on Xbox, you're playing on PlayStation, whatever. Just send out an email. Like we all have, whether you're using the Blizzard dashboard or, like your Xbox dashboard.
Yeah.
We have messages that are there. Just send us something that kind of gives us a heads up as to like what the changes are, because I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating when all of a sudden you're used to, or you're expecting the game to play a certain way. And then when it doesn't, then you're just fumbling at that point.
They basically leave it up to you. Jeff Kaplan's got a YouTube channel that you can go see what the updates are, and he'll just basically say, this is what we've been thinking about, these are the changes we're going to implement, and we'll get your reactions, and we're going to change it. We will change it, but they're like a 10 to 15, maybe 20 minute video of him just talking right at you. This is what's going to come, but you have to go look at the video. They don't automatically send it out.
And when I think of like Halo, for instance, the only thing that Bungie did back in the day was they would introduce new map packs. So you'd have to learn the map itself and find out like just where everything is located, that sort of thing. But that was kind of fun because it was exploratory. You were discovering these new maps, and it was exciting. And that's the same as as Overwatch, where like you get a new map and you can't wait to check out where everything is. And it's fun because it kind of levels the playing field a bit because no one knows where everything is. And that part of it is cool. And I will say that I do feel better after finding that particular article that listed the stuff that you can and can't do, mainly the stuff you can't do.
Which is basically one ability for every character, pretty much.
Well, some of them are two. Like for instance, like Sombra. Like Sombra is an extremely squishy character. Like her purpose really is to be able to stealthily flank and outmaneuver people. Like she's not designed to be able to like take on a full frontal assault. And so the fact that they took away two big abilities. I mean, the fact that she could go into stealth mode and to use her translocator. I mean, you're essentially just kind of running out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other ability that she still has is being able to hack stuff. I mean, whoop-de-doo. You can't do anything with that. So, I mean, it's just unfortunate because the older version of Capture the Flag, Miss Sombra, was a force to be reckoned with, which was saying something because Sombra as a character, she's not a bad character per se. If you really know how to use her, then she can be pretty effective. But I just feel like she still is quite squishy. And so CTF was kind of one of the opportunities for her to shine a bit more. So I don't know. Maybe they'll continue to balance it out. The nice thing I am happy about is that you still can use your ultimates.
True.
No matter which character you are.
Right. Now they do have the Capture the Flag competitive there,
which we have not tried yet.
I have tried it.
Oh, you have? Were you victorious?
I was, yes.
And how many matches have you played?
3.
Have you been victorious in all 3, Steve?
No.
No. Have you been victorious in 2 out of 3?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Now, the other thing I've been doing this weekend is that it is my wife's birthday.
You didn't mention one more thing about the new Capture the Flag, Russ.
Oh, what did I forget?
The draw. If you...
Oh!
The timer runs out and it's a draw, they make somebody win by bringing the flags a lot closer together, so it's a little more intense.
Now that is something that gets a big thumbs up from me because I don't know. I just love the idea that it's sudden death and all of a sudden the flags move just a little bit closer to each other. And I don't know, it just gets more of that epic feel to it. It's like, ooh, what's going to happen now?
It's on like Donkey Kong.
That's right. Gets everybody's juices pumping, blood pumping.
So your wife's birthday, Russ.
Yeah, so this weekend is her birthday, and she wanted to go see The Greatest Showman, which was a movie that came out a little while back. It's still in theaters. It stars Hugh Jackman.
Oh, yes.
And it is kind of one of those films that's the best way I can describe it, it's kind of like it's not a sing-along, but it's what do you call those? Musical. Thank you, Steve.
You know, it's got music in it, and I don't know, I forgot what it's called.
It's got music, people singing, and there's plot, and
it's kind of like Les Miserables in a way.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about Les Miserables. That was actually a really good movie.
It was, and Hugh Jackman also starred that one as well, Russ.
He was indeed.
Jean Valjean, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, do you know kind of the synopsis of The Greatest Showman?
No.
So he plays...
Can you wrap it up in about 10 seconds or less?
Mr. Barnum. There you go. He's from Barnum and Bailey's Circus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it takes place, it kind of goes into the whole idea of when he was a kid and then how he was able to get the business off the ground and turn it into the greatest show on earth.
Indeed.
So it was fun. I mean, it's definitely something I could see a lot of the ladies out there will really enjoy it because it's Hugh Jackman, and who doesn't like Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman's a good guy.
Lots of catchy tunes, lots of fun music and stuff, and the wife was happy, so that's all that matters.
Well, some of the ladies like the artsy-fartsy movies.
I had a fun time watching it while stuffing my mouth with peanut M&Ms. By the by, I was curious after seeing the movie about Hugh Jackman's love life because I've never seen really anybody who he dates or whatever. Turns out the dude's been married for a long time, and he married an Australian actress / producer by the name of Deborah Lee Furness. And she's actually an older lady.
Indeed.
She is about 13 years older than Mr. Jackman.
Man.
Yeah, but it was really, really cool to be able to look it up and see. And it's just, I think they've been married for 20 years, maybe.
That's fantastic.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, just apparently he met her on like one of his first acting gigs, and she was like just way more established than he was, and totally fell for her. And turned out that she actually was really attracted to him as well.
No.
What was kind of funny, I saw some earlier pictures of Hugh, and it's just fun. It's endearing to see like earlier shots, and he was just more of a normal looking guy,
Right.
Like, I mean,
yeah. No. Right.
he's really like just I mean, the dude works out and
Yeah.
everything else, and just great personality and stuff. So, it's really interesting. Apparently, I think Hugh Jackman right now is like 46 or something, and his wife is in her 50s. So anyway, really, really cool. God bless him. I just thought it would be fun just to talk about that, just because for the longest time I was thinking, man, who's he dating? Like, who's he with? And it's just like, oh, the man is loyal, and he's got a lovely family. So
He is 49.
he's 49.
She is.
So add 13 years to that, and actually she might be. Oh, you know what? She's probably just breaking through the 60s barrier there. So anyway, the more you know.
That's pretty cray-cray because in Hollywood, marriages don't last much longer than 3 years.
That's very true. Marriages like that are a rarity. And actually, I was reading a fun little article about that because I was just curious. Curious minds want to know. So I did a little research on it.
Cosmopolitan the other day, right?
I found this fun article where they were interviewing his wife, and they were asking her, of course, what's your secret? Like, what is it about your guys' relationship that you guys do to keep the romance going? And
leather and whips.
Yeah. She had a very simple answer that I love. She said, we do not spend longer than 2 weeks apart. That anytime that, like, Hugh, for instance, is on some movie project or whatever, if it goes longer than 2 weeks, she'll go visit him on set, or he'll fly back and visit with her and stuff. And I thought, that is
sense.
That's a very, very good idea. It's just, longer than 2 weeks. It's like, yeah. And plus I was thinking too, like, if I was some like movie star, that'd be fun to like have the wife come by and just hang out and say hi and that sort of thing. I mean, it's be able to show her what we're working on. I don't know. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense because you'd think some movies like Lord of the Rings, for example, they were gone for a long time, like a year or more.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I watched as much behind the scenes stuff as I could, and their family was going, "Are you coming back?" Like, military folks come back sooner than you're coming back from making a movie. So,
yeah, no, I thought it was worthy of mention there. So, going back to gaming stuff I've been doing, I have gotten back into playing more Horizon Zero Dawn, the DLC pack.
Here we go.
That was one of the things that I really fell off the bandwagon. I downloaded initially, started to play it, and then just started playing other stuff. And I thought, man, I got to get back into that. So, having a good time with that. Love me some Horizon.
I know.
It's very pretty.
Especially when it's Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have also started to play Shadow of the Colossus for PlayStation 4.
Oh, I knew you were downloading that one.
Yeah. I'm still getting used to the controls. The jury is still out on that one. If you recall, we were talking about it on a previous episode, and IGN gave it a 9.7 out of 10.
I remember.
Very, very high.
Indeed.
However, I'm still trying to get used to just the controls. The controls are the biggest thing for me, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I need more time with it. It's just things that normally you would expect to be are not in this. You could tell they took more kind of like a different approach to just doing something as simple as just riding your horse. Like I'm having the hardest time controlling the horse on the screen, and the camera suddenly will start to kind of drift to the right or to the left, and the characters
see where I'm going.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the heck is happening. So anyway, I just know I'm doing something wrong with the controller or whatever. So we'll see how it goes in the weeks to come. But anyway, that's about all that's new in my world.
That's all. That's what's up with us, with Toaster.
Well, let's get into some gaming news. What do you say, Steve? Huh? Yeah. So we have fun stories here. There's just two, but they are quite fun. First of all is Ghostbusters World announced. So Ghostbusters World is a mobile augmented reality game for Android and iPhone. I decided to chat about this just because I was a big fan of Pokemon Go, If you recall, earlier last year, I was actually talking about how it got me back out walking. It was actually fun to be able to try and capture the little Pokemon creatures.
Right.
So this game apparently uses the same gameplay mechanics as Pokemon Go. Players use smart devices to find and catch specters, ghosts, and apparitions. A specific release date and price have not yet been revealed. But in Ghostbusters World, players will be able to battle and capture hundreds of ghosts from all dimensions of the franchise, including the films, TV shows, comic books, theme parks, and video games.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is someone going to have to throw down their phone as the Ghostbusters trap?
You know, actually, I saw a trailer, and there is a sequence where you see the trap, like the doors will shut on the screen itself. So you're not too far off, but I have a feeling that you'll have many broken phones if they were to actually do that.
Okay, dude, it's your turn. You got the OtterBox. I'm like, no, you throw your phone.
As a final little note here, there will also be new ghosts to capture, created especially for the game.
Of course.
But I think that's like something that you and I will be able to pick up, give it a shot, give it a whirl,
give it a wild stab.
It's a little more up our alley as opposed to Pokemon Go. And I'm telling you, Pokemon Go was a fun game, all things considered.
Your daughter might like Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I think she probably would. Depending on how scary the Ghostbusters one is, she might be digging that one as well. The second story I have here, Steve. New art book marks 30th anniversary of Street Fighter series. IGN reported that Kadokawa Corporation will release Street Fighter Memorial Archive Beyond the World in Japan on March 24th to mark the 30th anniversary of the Street Fighter series. It will be priced at 3,900 yen, which is about $36. The book is currently available for pre-order on Amazon Japan. This anniversary publication features cover art of the most recent Street Fighter V Arcade Edition and even has its in-card illustrations, which are the rewards that you get for clearing arcade mode that show up in your gallery, something that I am in the process of collecting. The book also features interviews with previous developers of the Street Fighter series, as well as illustrators and manga artists with compilations of illustrations from previous games in the series. Street Fighter Memorial Archive Beyond the World looks to be a must-have for fans of the Street Fighter series, naturally. I know that I would like to pick up my grubby little hands on something like that.
I know you would.
And let's segue right into movies. Now, movies, we have quite the list to go through here, Steve.
Do you, Russ?
Black Panther has 5th biggest movie opening ever. King T'Challa and his team attracted a massive turnout of fans, opening to a draw-dropping $235 million over the 4-day President's Day holiday weekend. Overall, Black Panther generated the 5th largest opening weekend of all time, which was a Friday to Sunday, behind Star Wars The Force Awakens, which was at $248 million, Star Wars The Last Jedi at $220 million, Jurassic World at $208.8 million, and The Avengers $207.4 million. It looks like blasting past the $500 million mark by the end of the domestic run looks like it could be very likely. So I say congratulations to the cast and crew of Black Panther.
Yeah, the movie's doing great. Everyone, it's been getting a lot of very, very good reviews, especially ours.
Absolutely. Now, this one is a bit of a, I don't know, kind of an eyebrow raiser.
Oh.
Joss Whedon. You know Joss Whedon. He's nodding his head.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
His eyeballs are darting back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh, what movie has he worked on, Steve?
I don't know, Russ, but I know the name.
Steve, that's what we call a lie. Liar, your pants are on fire. Enough of that Al Pacino. Joss Whedon, you know, the little director who directed The Avengers. The dude who stepped in and helped Zack Snyder out with Justice League.
Oh, yeah, that guy,
Yeah. I can't trust you anymore, you deceitful little liar. Anyway.
Joss Whedon.
He has exited the DC Batgirl movie. I didn't even know this guy was involved with a Batgirl movie, unless I don't know. Maybe there was a little nugget in the past somewhere, but it was definitely something that was buried very far deep beneath where the sun don't shine. In a statement released to The Hollywood Reporter, Whedon, who was attached to write and direct the DC movie, said he left the project because he couldn't come up with a story. I'm out of here. According to THR sources, Whedon struggled to come up with a story for the Batgirl movie after spending a year trying. The outlet sources also noted that with cultural shifts currently taking place in the entertainment industry, a male director could potentially face more backlash for directing the film. What do you think about that?
I'm back. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever works, Russ. I mean, with the DC films, I was kind of like, so with them. So, and I know they were receiving a lot of the similar opinions. So, I don't know. Whatever. They have to catch up to the Marvel somehow. Maybe they're taking him out because they have something better in mind,
Well, but he was talking about, it says, what was interesting is that noted that with the cultural shift currently taking place in the entertainment industry, a male director could potentially face more backlash for directing the film, which leads me to believe that because the film itself is Batgirl, right, and he's a man, that somehow there would be some sort of lost in translation thing. I don't know. For me, I don't think that what's between your legs should dictate authenticity or not. I mean, I understand that, there will be times where you have certain male directors or female directors that will do an amazing job on any given movie. But I don't know. I hope that's not the case. I don't want it to turn into something where all of a sudden we turn away a really talented director who would be just a perfect fit for something just because of what sex they are. I don't know. Yeah, I get it. Hollywood's getting more and more PC as much as they talk about how not PC they are. Yeah. And I hope that it's, like you said, that's not the case, but you never know. I mean, again, going the opposite direction too, Wonder Woman, for instance, I wouldn't want anyone but Patty Jenkins directing that. She did a fine job, and especially with Gal Gadot. I mean, you and I have lavished that movie with all kinds of praise and stuff. And so, but I mean, what would happen if suddenly Patty Jenkins was given a certain project and, the roles were reversed, where all of a sudden it's because it stars a male superhero, then, that might be backlash. Right, it's well, what? She's a good director. Exactly. And then it would be worse because then, I don't even want to get there. I don't want to go there. Mark Hamill to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Hasn't he already had his little star? Nope. That's kind of hard to believe. He's got a star somewhere. Well, if you think about it, he really hasn't been in that many movies. Yeah, I know, but Star Wars. I mean, come on. He had to have his star for that. Star Wars really has not. I mean, it's been very successful with the fans. In terms of the industry itself, though, it has been met with kind of a. I'll just say it hasn't been taken very seriously. Well, lately, yes. No, but I mean, even in the past, there's just a lot of kind of snubbing, if you will. But it can't be ignored because of how crazy popular it's been with all the masses. Variety revealed that after 40, count them, 40 years, Hamill's star will be the 2,630th star on the 2-kilometer stretch, and his presentation will be co-hosted by George Lucas and Harrison Ford. Hamill began his career with small roles on the likes of General Hospital, but shot to fame with the release of Star Wars in 1977. Since then, he has become a prolific voice actor, most prominently playing the Joker in various Batman TV shows, movies, and video games. This year, Hamill will co-star with Gary Oldman and Gillian Anderson in Squadron 42, which is a space combat spinoff from the successful Star Citizen project, which I don't really know a whole lot about. Is it Gillian or Jillian? That is a very good question. Because if it's Gillian Anderson, she was on X-Files. She was Scully. Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of those names where you just it's difficult to know for sure. It starts with a G. George starts with a G, but I don't know. Okay, yeah. I mean, just thinking about GIF? Animated GIF or animated GIF? I don't know.
Tomato, what are you going to do?
Sonic the Hedgehog movie gets 2019 release date. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the live-action CGI hybrid movie will open in theaters on November 15th, 2019. Alex Osborne reports that Neil Moritz's production company, Original Films, signed a first-look deal with Paramount Pictures last year after the project was put into turnaround at Sony Pictures. Moritz is on board to produce the project, and Deadpool director Tim Miller will serve as an executive producer alongside Toby Asher. Sonic the Hedgehog will be directed by Jeff Fowler, a longtime collaborator of Miller's at Blur Studio, which I'm familiar with. This will be the first full-length feature directed by Fowler. He previously helmed the 2004 short Go for Broke, which I also saw from Blur Studio, and that was fun. It was really cool. So I hope it does well.
You know what else is expected to come out in 2019, Russ?
Steve, I'm sure there are many things that are expected to come out in 2019. How would I know what you're getting at?
I figured you're just taking a wild stab or a wild guess. Captain Marvel.
Very nice.
Indeed. I kind of stumbled on that while I was scrolling through IMDb.
I was going to say, I don't think I would ever guess that on the show. So this one is not exactly a movie headline, but it's a TV show one, and I just thought it'd be worth just kind of throwing in there just for fun. The Big Bang Theory will have Bill Gates guest starring in an upcoming episode. Apparently, it is scheduled to air sometime in March, and the kind of the setup is that Penny hosts him at work, and the guys do all they can for a chance to meet the billionaire. I do think it is worth noting also that in 2001, he made a cameo in Frasier, which makes sense because that show takes place in Seattle, and that is where his company is located. Well, not exactly Seattle, but it is in the state of Washington. Technically, Microsoft is in Redmond.
He must be trying to broaden his horizons a bit. I'm sure he's done the computer thing a little while.
I think he's taking a little break from philanthropy.
Having some on-screen fun.
Well, and to be honest, he really should be on that show. I mean, they've had so many other big cameos from various celebrities from kind of the nerd sphere.
Yeah.
So, finally, Joaquin Phoenix in talks to play the Joker in standalone origin film. Variety reports that Phoenix is director Todd Phillips' top choice to play the famous Batman antagonist. Sources speaking to Variety confirm Phoenix agreed to the role, but Warner Brothers has declined to comment. IGN previously confirmed that Jared Leto, who played the Joker in 2016 Suicide Squad, would not be reprising his role for Phillips' project. Instead, Warner Brothers is aiming to create a new imprint to tell stories of other characters in the DC canon, separate from any of their existing cinematic universes. Jared Leto's Joker will appear in any DCEU films, including Suicide Squad 2, should the character make an appearance in the film. What are your thoughts on the idea of them taking that approach where, like, you could have multiple actors playing the same character as long as they stay in their respective lanes?
That's going to be confusing, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. If you're going to go back and... Yeah. They would have to release like that next Suicide Squad way after they would release this one, just so... I mean... People are going to get confused. You can't have, one summer and then the following season, we're going to have, it's not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing where it's like you need to kind of build up that rapport with a certain type of actor. You're going to have your audience that will invest themselves emotionally into a certain character. And the longer you can hold on to a specific actor, the more success you're going to have just being able to tell those stories, because it's like any kind of person that you meet for the first time. You have to build that relationship. So,
what do you think about Joaquin Phoenix being the Joker, Russ?
I think that actually has a lot of potential. I'm open to the idea. I'd have to kind of see just what goes on. But I mean, that actor can play some pretty cool roles, and especially more on the creepy side. If you were like when he was in Gladiator, I mean, he was pretty messed up in that, but he wasn't to the level of the Joker, but I think he could get there. I mean, I think that I think there's some untapped potential that we could see.
Yeah, he's been out of the scene for a while, and I think he was going through some troubled times. I remember seeing him on Letterman, and there was this documentary that was done about him, and he was struggling a bit. Mm-hmm. So, I think he would be more of the Heath Ledger type Joker than the Jared Leto or the Jack Nicholson Joker.
Now, we do have a couple of fun technology stories that they're not like hardcore tech, but they fall within kind of the wheelhouse, if you will. The United Kingdom theme park, or one of them anyway, is getting the world's first Walking Dead roller coaster. In the United Kingdom, Thorpe Park. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Thorpe. Thorpe. Does that sound right? Or Thorpe? I don't know.
No, Thorpe.
It's got to be Thorpe, right?
We name our son Thorpe. No one's going to tase him in elementary school, they won't.
They will unveil the new ride sometime around Easter, according to Entertainment Weekly. Instead of creating an entirely new attraction, the theme park will retool the existing X, No Way Out roller coaster. The roller coaster will take riders through different locations made popular by the series, including the Prison Watch Tower, and will feature a combination of physical and digital effects. Actors playing walkers will also appear, both before the roller coaster, as riders are lining up, and will pop up throughout the ride.
Knew it.
I'm surprised that this is being done in the UK. I'm surprised we don't have something like that, like at, I don't know, Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure. I don't know, somewhere where like there's a theme park presence. I can say that just going to San Diego Comic-Con, they would have some of these little experience events. One of which was they actually borrowed one of the like baseball stadiums that was nearby in San Diego. I think it was a baseball stadium, sports stadium of some kind. Anyway, they turned it into this huge like infection zone thing, like where like you could actually have people who have come to Comic-Con sign up for it, and certain people got to be the Walking Dead, and then others were the survivors trying to make it to like the quarantine zone or something to that effect. And I mean, they really dressed up like the exterior of the stadium as well as the interior, and I think that there were several nerds that got a whole lot of exercise that they normally would not have gotten otherwise. But everybody loves it. Like it happens each year, and it gets sold out every time. So the second story here is that Hasbro announces toy crowdfunding platform with a 4-foot Jabba's barge model. Which I think is pretty cool. Shaman Arif reported Hasbro's HasLab. That's pretty cool. HasLab. Crowdfunding platform is like Kickstarter for cool toys, and first up is Jabba's sail barge, weighing in at 14 pounds. How's that for a toy? Not too bad. HasLab, quotes, hopes to bring dream products into the hands of fans, end quote, with new models that are, quote, trophy items in significance and size, end quote. If the campaigns are fully funded by the end date, the products will move into production and release exclusively to backers for now. If the goal isn't reached, backers will not be charged. Jabba's sail barge, the Katana, is the first HasLab project and will be 4 feet long. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, it's gonna be 14 pounds. It'll cost you $500 to back the project, which has a cutoff date of April 13th. Jabba's barge needs a minimum of 5,000 backers to become a reality. If fully funded, it will ship in February of 2019, next year. So, I don't know, Steve, you got $500?
Don't think so.
Oh, come on. I know you got it on your couch.
Yeah. Let me look under the mattress. Let me break it with a piggy bank.
Yeah, exactly. Watch I end up spending money for it. I don't know. I'll have to take a look at it. It's something that.
The next IPO or Jabba?
All right, let's get into the old topic of the day. Eh?
All right, Russ. You know, it might be because I have earphones on, but every time that plays, I have this image of trumpets like right next to either side of my head going.
We got to do a cartoon of that of your face and just pupils like vibrating in your eyeball sockets.
Earwax coming out.
Oh, that is such a cool song, though. Every time I listen to it, I get pumped up. It's great and deaf at the same time.
Right.
Got a little bit of ringing left over. It's all good. So our topic of the day is The Sopranos.
I used to have that theme song as a ringtone on my cell phone, Russ.
I believe you. I do believe you.
Yeah.
So Steve has been a huge fan of The Sopranos. I don't know if you watched it on TV. I think perhaps you were a bit of a late comer to the scene itself. Did you start watching it on DVD?
Here's the dealio. So when it was on HBO,
Eat a cannoli with duck.
have another ziti, okay? I'm trying to tell you a story here, okay?
Okay.
So when it was on HBO, I didn't really watch all that much because we didn't have HBO. So
Back in my day, we didn't have no HBO.
back in my day, we had no TV. So watching the show was very intermittent because I'd have to be at a friend's house to watch it. So I would get an episode here, a season would go by, I'd get another episode. So it was kind of like, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Forget about it.
Hey, forget about it. So then I started seeing a buddy of mine pretty regularly because we both worked in close areas, and he would invite me over.
We worked very closely in proximity to each other. As a matter of fact, only 3 feet apart.
Anyway, so
breathing down my neck.
Yeah, I think I got on the show around like the fourth or fifth season, and so I was watching it back to back to back. And it wasn't until and then I stopped again, and then the sixth season came out, like the last part of it, and he's like, you gotta watch it. Things ending, you gotta get caught up. And so I thought, okay, well, let me borrow what you have. So I think I borrowed the first 2 seasons, and then I was hooked after the first 2, and so then I started buying the rest, and I caught up all the way until the very, very last show of the 6th season.
So there were only 6 seasons
There's
total?
only 6 seasons, yeah.
Okay.
The 6th season had like 2 parts to it, so it was about, I think, 12 episodes, and then it was like 6 more at the end, so it was like 6.5. So then I of course I went back and bought all the ones that I didn't have, and I'll tell you, Russ, that I watched it all by myself the first time. Then I showed the girlfriend. So that makes number 2. Then I showed El Papasan.
No,
Daddy-o.
El Padre.
So that's been the 3rd time I've seen it. So now, if I can get you hooked, it'll be my 4th time seeing the entire series.
So it goes without saying, of course, that you are a huge fan of The Sopranos.
It is a very well-written show. And if you think back to that time period, there wasn't a whole lot of shows that people were a diehard fan following of.
I imagine if it took place, if it got started in the 90s, did it get started in the 90s or was it the early 2000s?
Nah, I mean, we went on to the early 2000s, but it was started in the 90s.
So maybe Seinfeld was still in its heyday.
I never watched. I couldn't get into Seinfeld, so I don't know actually when Seinfeld got started.
So in Seinfeld, I think, not when it got started, but just in the 90s was like, I think when it was hitting kind of.
I'm talking about like a drama show that people would watch. So if you think about it, after The Sopranos ended, or pretty much midway through, it really opened up the floodgates for a lot of these other shows that have extreme fan followings. Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, for example. And so people start talking about a lot of these shows that they are just avid. They have to watch them. So I think The Sopranos, I can't, there's nothing to back that up, but that's why I really feel to my bones that The Sopranos really opened up the pathway for these rest of these shows to follow.
Well, and I think it's worthy of it being the topic of the day just because I just finished watching the very, very first episode with you before the show, before this recording session. And I can start to see certain catalysts that will make for a very interesting reveal, I guess you could say, later on down the road. But yeah, it's funny because you have they're not even Blu-rays, they're like the normal DVDs.
Yeah.
And so popped them into the PS4, and it's just funny to see how far we've come technologically, how just regular DVDs. I remember when DVDs first came out, it was just like, wow, this is like so much better than VHS. And now looking at DVDs and thinking, man, this is just a low resolution. It's amazing. Not to mention the fact that the show itself had production values that were really much more basic than a lot of the newer TV shows of today. But in a way, I kind of like that. Like watching this particular episode, you could tell that a lot of the stages were just that, like just if he was in the psychiatrist's room or if he was talking to other people at some sort of like poker table or whatever.
Yeah. Part of the technological aspect of it is that you have a TV that's way higher resolution than what the film was made on. So even what upconverting that the PS4 can do, it's still not going to be to the resolution that the TV is. So in a way, if my old TV, my old little 32-inch Panasonic that I had, it actually looked better running on there on my Xbox One than it actually runs on your TV because my old Panasonic was a 720p, not a 1080p.
Yeah.
So in a way, every single time I've watched it, it's always looked better than it actually did tonight, just because your TV has that higher of a threshold for resolution.
Yeah, but in a way though, I kind of like how it looks dated. I don't know. There's something about it that I don't know. I find appealing. I just think it's just all right. I'll get into it. This is not everything I watch has to be absolutely like just pushing the envelope and stuff. So
David Chase wrote and directed it.
Okay,
and he also went on after this show. He went on to write and direct Mad Men, which was also very successful.
And you also watched.
Yeah, completely. I mean,
now did you start watching Mad Men because you found out that was the director?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you see certain similarities?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And of course, Mad Men's not, more of a cleaner show than the Sopranos are, of course. It was on regular cable. But still very, very well written. Plus I like advertising and whatnot, and that's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I know you've been after me for a very long time. I have. And like a good brother, I have decided to say, okay, let me allow me to dip my proverbial toe into the world of The Sopranos. And we'll see what comes out of it. But no, I know that this TV series was tremendously popular back when it was out. And even though I never watched it, I heard people talk about it all the time.
Yeah, no, when this whole show wrapped up, tons of just regular news outlets, not even like entertainment channels, but news outlets were going, oh man, The Sopranos, you see the last episode. The story is actually kind of funny because you think, okay, mafia guy, someone's going to get whacked, he's sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
But you have this guy who's basically has two families that he's trying to balance, right? So he has his innocent family, partly who knows what he does and partly who does not know what he does. And even if he can't release the details of what he does.
Raise them in like upper middle class suburbia.
Correct. Yeah, trying to raise them right at the same time. And then you have his other family, let's say, which is the mobbed up family, and who is supposed to stay away from his personal family. So you have drama going on with both, with his wife and his kids, just acting like wives and kids do. And then he has everything else going on. He's trying to balance, and he's having panic attacks. He has to go see a psychiatrist. And like, what mob person would go see a psychiatrist?
There is a good balance I've noticed just with the first episode I've watched of comedy and violence. We're not really violence by itself, but I guess drama is a more appropriate word. Just having the comedy and drama going back and forth. I don't know. It for whatever reason, it does work pretty well. And I think I'm not sure if that style, that type of formula would work necessarily in other setups, but for this kind of Italian mobster kind of thing, the way that they've cultivated these characters, it seems to work so far.
What do you think of the opening, Russ? Did the opening give you like a nice view of Jersey and kind of set the tone, set the mood for how the thing was going to play out?
I was a little surprised by the opening because honestly, it didn't feel like the type of opening that I've come to expect from HBO. A lot of the TV show openers that I'll watch, all the main title sequences, they really do have a lot of polish to them. And this one really struck me as almost like not home video-esque, but more like it's a project pitch. Like it's almost as if they filmed that to show backers or potential backers, hey, this is what we'd like to do. Here's kind of a tasting or a sampling of like a live action mood board, if you will, where like people who maybe angel investors or whatever it is, whoever would fund the show, they get a feel for, but they clearly didn't have the budget yet. And so I guess a question I have for you is, do they use that intro for all 6 seasons?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
There is a rawness to
Definitely.
the intro itself, which, I mean, going back to production values, it seems like the intro itself is lower than the actual episode itself.
Right. Yeah. That's
it
why
had to have been the first thing that they shot.
Yeah.
I'm just spitballing a guess on this, but that's what it strikes me as.
Yeah. No. It had to be the first. Well, it was. I mean, James Gandolfini, you'll see later on in episodes and seasons, he gets older and he changes, and so do all the other actors and actresses. Of course, all you see is James, but he doesn't age in any other season opening. It's just the same thing in and out. So, but I liked how old school it is, where he's not doing anything above and beyond ordinary. Mm-hmm. He's just driving in and out of the Jersey Turnpike, smoking a cigar. He's driving his old Suburban, keeping to himself. The strong, silent type that he was referring to, Gary Cooper.
Yeah, it was cool to see. I don't know, the show that is itself taking place in the 90s, because a lot of the topics or conflicts, it's so funny how those always remain the same. It's like these universal issues that people wrestle with, and it doesn't matter which decade you're in.
Right.
And it's just fun to see that. Also, too, just looking at his family, you can tell it's a dysfunctional family.
Yep.
There are a lot of complications that are going on with the different relationships. So I'm sure we're going to see quite a bit of things unfold as a result of that. And to your point, too, just the more I learn about the crime family hierarchy, how the things work out, who his allies are, who his enemies are, who are the turncoats, that sort of thing. I mean, I'm anticipating there to be quite a bit of this twists and turns. And I'm thinking that the psychiatrist scenes are kind of the safe area, if you will, where it kind of brings everything back to center, so to speak. And then we kind of branch out from there, here and there, that sort of thing.
Yeah. What's interesting and kind of funny is Tony is not a good guy.
Right.
He's the bad guy, but he's the main character.
He's like a likable antagonist.
Exactly
The
right.
anti-hero.
He's the anti-hero. He's the likable antagonist because, I mean, he's a mob boss.
Yeah.
So he's not helping the world out any. But we end up as the viewer loving Tony at the same time, which is, it's just perplexing in a sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I, for one, look forward to watching more of this. I'm glad I'm actually acting on your recommendation after all of these years. Hey, better late than never, right?
Well, acting on the agreement that I would finish Stranger Things and then we would watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we are. And there are 6 seasons.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yay. All right.
Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of Joygasm. Be sure to check us out on patreon.com/Joygasm and subscribe to get the most out of the show. Also, you can follow us on social media and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. In addition to iTunes and Android, you can listen to our podcast on TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and SoundCloud.com/Joygasm TV. Last but certainly not least, search Joygasm TV on Twitch to see us stream our gaming adventures live every Wednesday night at 9:30 Central Time. Until next time, happy gaming, people.